People love telling stories. From a very young age, we get engrossed in stories, whether we're reading them or whether we're being told them. We love stories. It's hardwired into our DNA as human beings to love stories. And here's what happens in business. If there is a vacuum in your communication, there is a hole in your message, your story is not complete, people will fill that hole with their own story. People will make up whatever story they like to fill in the blanks. And that, today, ladies and gentlemen, is the message that I want to talk about, and that is communication back to our team. What does that look like? What should we be saying? Let's talk communication. Welcome to JTintheRaw, where I chew the thin on business, and after 31 years in business, I have just a few thins to chew. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Alyssa, Alicia. I think I saw Scotty there. I think I also saw Braxy. How is everybody? I hope you are all doing fine and dandy. Today is a huge day for me. Huge, massive day. It's the first day back doing face-to-face training in a club. What is this thing called face-to-face? It's where I actually go to the client instead of doing it on video or on Zoom and get to see people. See people. How weird is that? Mira, good morning. I'm very excited to be doing face-to-face training. So I am heading off there very shortly. Braxy, feel free to jump in anywhere you like in this conversation as we go through. So last week in show 212, I talked a lot about the language that we use as leaders. As leaders, the language that we should be using now and moving forward, so that we actually weren't blaming COVID or we weren't blaming consumer confidence. We were taking acceptance and responsibility for what was happening in the marketplace as leaders. But then this week, I had a very interesting conversation with somebody. Thank you, Susie, for sharing. I haven't even finished talking and you're already sharing the show. So thank you very much. I had a really interesting conversation with a client this week. And it went along the lines of this. They were making changes in their rosters. They were making some changes in their product delivery or their service delivery in order to, both of those things, to reduce expenses. Now, they didn't necessarily explain that well enough. They thought that they did. The end result was that the staff said that they were going broke. The staff made up their own shit. They made up because the story was incomplete. Jamie, Scotty, Gresh, good morning. Deborah, good morning. Because the story was incomplete in their minds as staff, they filled in the blanks with their own shit. And so they were going out and using the message that the club was, or the business itself was going broke. It was not going broke, but that was their assumption. And I know we should never make an assumption. Mike, good afternoon, sir, over there in the US. Adam Edmonds, good day, sir. So let's think about this as a formula where A message plus B message equals C understanding. A message plus B message equals C understanding. Nikki, good morning over there in the land of the long white lost cloud. Anyway, g'day over there in New Zealand. Message A plus message B equals understanding C. Now, if you miss B in that formula, you cannot expect to get understanding C. Let me say that again. If you miss B or A, you cannot expect to get understanding C. You cannot. Exactly right, Scotty. You can't assume that they will get the understanding from C. Now, if A and B are not clear for your team, then they cannot get understanding of C. That's a simple formula for you. So your job as the leader of your business, Elaine, good morning, welcome, great having you on board this morning. Hope you're doing well up there in Queensland. No one knows how you're going because we can't get into Queensland. So what we as leaders have to do in our business, regardless of whether we are leading an entire company or we are leading a department, or even to a certain extent as parents leading a family, we have to ensure that message A is crystal clear. Message B is crystal clear in what we're trying to get across, so that understanding is clear. C, that C understanding is absolutely clear. So I want to share with you something that I used to do, and I actually do this when I'm working with clients, to make sure that they're getting what I'm saying. You know how Chinese whispers works, that I say something and you may kind of hear something else and then say something slightly different. I got to make sure that everybody is on the same page. So there are two ways we can do this, or a couple of ways. First thing is, when you're trying to get a message across to your team, write it down. Write that message down and distribute it to them. Sometimes in advance, sometimes after. Your choice. Be very clear in that message of what you're trying to get across, but use language that they will understand. I don't want to insult anybody that works for you, but I want you to dumb it down. I want you to dumb it right down. So for somebody who's, and when I mean dumb it down, I don't mean like make it stupid, but people scan read. So when they scan read, they've got to understand what they've just read. Thanks, Braxy. I agree. So they've got to scan, understand what they're reading. Okay, that's a critical component. Let me share again this thought with you. And it goes something like this. You write your message down, then you talk to your message. Then you ask the people that are hearing your message, what did you hear? Please explain that back to me. This is the critical step in ensuring they understand what you've said. Because you'll say it in your words. You say, do you get what I mean? They say, yes, I understand. Great. Tell me what you just heard. Explain to me what you just heard. They then come back to you paraphrasing what you said. This is your opportunity right now to be a leader and say, yes, that's exactly right. No, that's not what I meant. And you can adjust at that point what you meant. So let me be super clear again. You can tell your people, then you must ask them to explain what you just said. What did you, and the words I often use is, what did you hear then? And I use this even with Zoe. Like even with my 11-year-old, if she's in trouble, I'll explain something to her and I say, now what did you just hear? What did you hear that I said? Or if I'm trying to coach in netball or football, I'll give them an explanation. I'll say, so what did you just hear? Now that gives me clarification that they've heard exactly what I want, and I can then move on. If they have not heard what I want, I have to go back, re-explain it again, ask them, what did you hear this time? Nah, still didn't get it. Got to go for a third loop. Yes, I got it. I can move on. This formula works, ladies and gentlemen, for clear communication. It is a critical component in the success of your family, your department, your team, and your company. Because with clear communication, no one can make shit up. No one can fill in the blanks if they don't know. So your job is to make sure they know everything, including Scotty Robertson, including why we're making those decisions. We're making these decisions because of X reason, Y reason, Z reason. This is a really, yes, Jamie Hayes, I might have a teaching background. So I really want you to take this away, and I need you to practice it because it's got to come naturally for you as a communicator. What I am hearing so many times at this moment, as we're coming out of COVID, as we're getting back into whatever the new normal may be, is that staff are not 100% sure of expectations, of new job roles. Staff are not 100% sure of the direction that the business is going. What is the vision? Where are we heading? What are we trying to achieve? Because we're trying to achieve multiple things at the moment. So your role as the leader, last week was language, this week is the message, is to give that message so there is complete understanding. Okay, let me just run through that one final time for you. I'm a fan of speaking with people, explaining what we're trying to do, followed then by asking, what did you hear? Or tell me back what I just said. And if I'm with a group of people, I will do that with nearly every person in the group. I will randomly pick them. Say I've got 5 people in the group, I will go around them and ask them all to recount what they just heard. If I'm with a group of 20 people, I'll pick 3 or 4 at random and have them recount back. And then at different times, I might pick other people to say, okay, so now what did you just hear? So I just want to clarify that for everybody as well. So it's not just a one-on-one conversation here. So we tell them, we seek clarification. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I do. Great. Explain it back to me. If they got it 100% the way you wanted it, you can move on. If they didn't, you need to re-explain it and you follow that loop until they get exactly what you want. Then, for me, what I like to do is I would then send them an email outlining again in writing what I meant or what was explained. You may prefer to do the writing up front and then follow that up with the meeting afterwards. That's your choice. But that is the model that I use, and I feel I've been reasonably successful with that, and I hope it adds value to you and your communication method back with your team members. So remember, if the A message and there's a complete B message, we will get C as the understanding of the message. There is no vacuum. There is no opportunity for people to make up stories or fill the vacuum with shit. Did you get any value out of today's show? Did this help you? If it did, I'd love you to go thanks or put something in the comments below. I'd love a love heart, whether you're watching live or on replay. And I also always be really grateful when you share the show. So again, you might find this a super useful tool to share with your team, because if you've got one receptionist who works with 2 other receptionists and they've got to get a message across, then this is a great technique to teach them. It's a great technique to teach them. So I hope you got value out of it. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Scotty, Rob. Really appreciate all your support. And I'm back here every single week trying to help you guys out. So if you've ever got a topic that you want me to talk about or research, please feel free to let me know. So as I say, today I'm off to do some face-to-face training, whatever the hell that looks like these days. Will be interesting to see. So I hope you got value out of today's show. I really do. This is about ensuring your message is crystal clear to the people that need to hear it. I hope you have an awesome weekend, and I will catch you on the flip side.